Hails and welcome to Rauta's Vinyl Monday. This is a Swedish band that got its release actually originally in 2018, but later on was reissued on vinyl format. So here I have both the CD and the LP version of this band called Wulkanaz. This seems to be a word related to like Proto-German. There's certain kind of Germanic heathendom themes, that's what I've been reading anyway, related to this band. And it's a curious one, after all, coming from Sweden and all. But not only because of that, but because of this path also leading or leaking to other bands by the same artist. Now, Wulkanaz might be an older name by this very artist, which is here as Wulkanaz. But nowadays, mostly known was his work for Wagner Ødegaard, which is also soloish project. I'm saying soloish, not solo, because at least this one seemed to have a kind of a Geshen, das ist guest session, musician with that from Kraft it seems. But mostly, anyway, as far as I could understand anyway, these are both solo projects. But we're not here to talk about the Wagner one, but this one. Let's start with the CD because it's the inferior product when it comes to showing you the visuals and all. So CD version looks like this. Pretty basic black and white cover with very simplistic design. You really don't see anything here. It's just white cover and then the track list. 15 tracks in about 30 some minutes. So, as you can pretty much imagine, the songs are tight and short and sweet. So here is the booklet. This one is curious case also because it's kind of musically, that is, continuing the tradition of another Swedish great name, Arcanum. Not only related to that in terms of music, and by the way, here is the lineup mentioned, already recorded in 2016, 2017, and Wagner Ødegaard is the one behind the bands with a name of Cumulonimbus, related to clouds, which seems to be the word for Wulkanaz as well. And Daniel, it seems, of Kraft is doing, well, the drums. But so, as I was saying, this is related to Arcanum in terms of musical ways. That is very raw, very paganic black metal versus the more kind of a straightforward satanic appearance and all that stuff. But that's not the only Swedish band that comes to my mind when we're talking about this interesting release. Because there are lots of other Swedish names which are like in direct opposite of those more cleaner styles. By that I mean bands like, for example, but by no means limited to Dark Funeral. You know, the ones with very posh sound, if you will, with more melodic and straightforward driven style. This is the kind of a stuff that reminds me of bands such like Blech and Armageddon. Comes with a nice strip. This is not exactly obi strip because you don't really see that kind of Chinese lettering, but kind of the same idea with the nice paper strip. Comes with a booklet, and of course then we have this vinyl here, which seems to be pretty nice white. Now some people of course want their vinyl to show as black as well. Some don't even like splatter or weird colors, but I think it's actually nice to have to make a difference here. And this cover is not just, you know, typical kind of a paper print. Not that they are really paper, but more like a cardboard. This is more rough rather than, you know, having the kind of a glossy kind of a cover. So there's certain feeling to your fingers. You really can't feel it like me, but maybe you get the idea. But other than that, pretty much basic black and white. So now you know how the vinyl version looks like. And as opposed to the CD version, this comes with an A5 size booklet with roughly the same information. But as you can see, there is more text here. It's more visual also. So, gotta say here, the vinyl is clearly the winner. I mean, there is more feeling to it when you are going through these Swedish lyrics, if you can read them. And all in all, this vinyl version seems just so much better than this CD. But of course, the main ingredient is the music. So what can we really say about it? That's what is the thing here. Before going into this particular release, quick look at the Metal Archive site. So this was founded more or less 2009, or at least demo was released in 2010. And since that, there have been a lot of smaller releases, EP, split, and whatnot. But also for full albums, at least according to Metal Archive's information, which is usually pretty correct, but there might be some mistakes. But we are not focusing on that. We're focusing on Wulkanaz album, which is the fourth one, and so far the last one by the band. Don't know if this Wagner Ødegaard would be proper pronunciation, I guess. If that's more active, I don't know what's going to happen with Wulkanaz, because, like I said, this was originally released in 2018 already, so almost 4 years ago. But here you have the track list. 16 tracks in 33 minutes, which kind of emphasizes the point of having too many tracks in a very, very raw fashion and reminding me a lot of Arcanum. But like I said, not only that. Those of you who don't know what Arcanum is, well, go get yourself educated. One of the best black metal bands of all times, coming from Sweden, at least in my opinion. Now, that being said, it's also worth mentioning that this is a kind of a rawer end of black metal. Not exactly super primitive, but still more on that raw and primitive side as opposed to a lot of bands coming from Nordic countries in general. And Wulkanaz is in that sort of, playing kind of paying homage to the bands here, which is having this kind of very, very lo-fi production and overall creating this very, very raw atmosphere. But it's also having these more instrumental parts, which are definitely, then again, a nod towards Arcanum style. Even though the songwriting is quite different, especially when you really think about these track lengths and certain riff styles, there are lots of similarities. So this is like half a Arcanum copycat, and I don't mean that by a bad sense. I'm just trying to put you on the map. And the other part is quite different. This is more rockish than Arcanum's more esoteric style. So there are differences, but lots of overlapping elements as well. But this short and sweet kind of composition, meeting this raw lo-fi atmosphere and production, accompanied with, yet again, raw raspy vocals, is something that's not gonna be for everybody. You kind of have to be ready for bands such as Ilion or earlier Dark Throne and stuff like that to be, going to like Wulkanaz. So some people are praising this because of this reason. This is kind of going back to the roots of, in so many ways, of black metal, as opposed to modern bands which try to be so hard to be atmospheric or beautiful and clean, and you get the idea. So it's like the direct opposition of bands like Dark Funeral in that sense. I mean, both come from Sweden, but they don't sound like at all the same. Yet still both very much fit the world of, or box of, black metal. So Wulkanaz's album is an interesting one, but in my opinion it has a little bit too much filler to just qualify as a great album. I like a lot of things what's being done here. I like the raw lo-fi output, and I like it's going, against the mainstream. But at the same time, I feel like there's a little bit too much nothing going on. By nothing, I mean riffs that are just to fill the gaps and, just build extra length, which might sound odd considering that this is only 33 minutes of an album. Now, if I was totally 100% honest, I would say cut 1/3 and this would be the best. That is, if only the best part were used. Then this would be really a good album. Now it's more like a decent, enjoyable to a certain degree, but I can't really fully vouch and say, yeah, this is the best shit coming out. So compared to Arcanum, nowhere even near of the best stuff that Arcanum put out. Maybe the least good ones would be closer to what Wulkanaz is all about. Yet still, I must say, this is an interesting band, and that's why I am bound to recommend to you at least a little bit. So if you're in for lo-fi, raw black metal, and you want to do it in the non-mainstream ways, this is one interesting band to check out. So once again, If you are preferring more the artistic version and more visual version, go for the vinyl. If you just want yourself to be treated easily and you don't have the vinyl player, CD is gonna do it. So, couple of options, and if I'm not mistaken, there's also tape version out. At least the other versions tab showing there is tape, vinyl, and CD, and of course digital. We live in a digital age, so what else can you really expect? Check it out, and I hope you like it. You will find links provided in the description box. Go give it a listen and figure out for yourself.